It's a great privilege for me to have this opportunity because I'm really representing all of CBRE colleagues in workplace consulting around the world. We embarked on this project towards the end of last year, and we engaged all of our consultants in the major markets around the world. It's hard to keep count of how many there are now, but there's probably 70 to 80 people. And we spoke to CEOs, heads of HR, IT, futurists, academics, young professionals, and we got their ideas about how they saw the future of work progressing as we move forward towards 2030. First of all, the number one competitive advantage moving forward hasn't really changed. It's elite talent. We already see that, but that's unchanged. But what is changing is that people are really shopping around for jobs now. It's very much a consumer experience. People are going around comparing what's on offer with all of the different opportunities. And they're really seeking a holistic life in terms of what the work actually reflects of them and how they feel that they can throw their passion into it. They're looking to work with intelligent people on exciting and rewarding projects. And values and purpose are equally as important as money. Everyone wants money. That's not going away. But people are really looking for how they can be inspired about what they're going to be doing. As we can see now, and definitely moving forward to 2030, the number of freelancers is really exploding. There's a lot of people who are jumping from project to project. And by 2030, we actually believe that around 50% of the total workforce will be in temporary style of work. So there's a really important skill set that needs to be developed amongst leaders, and that is to be able to inspire teams to gel together using talent from within the organisation and also from the wider community, bringing them together into a close-knit, high-performance team. And using emotional intelligence and really kind of developing a one team. It's our small team of 4 to 6 people, and we've got this project and we're going to deliver. It's very attractive to work for things regarding social good. So anything that is, if it's exciting and also can bring community benefits, people are right up for that. And also everyone wants to be a part of the next big thing. Everyone's kind of looking out for what's the next Google or what's the next Atlassian. Everyone's keen for that. Number 2, innovation, and it's lean, agile, authentic corporations that are able to attract the best talent and leverage technology to the next level, that are able to get a competitive advantage by innovating. It's really important that the innovation gets driven down to the small teams. Innovation isn't the innovation office over in the corner over there. Innovation needs to drive right throughout the corporation, right down to the small individual high-performance teams. In order to do that, corporations are going to have to kind of overlay these small, nimble, network style of teams over the traditional hierarchy. The traditional hierarchy is obviously very effective for corporations for things like getting the finance done, getting the legalities done, getting the HR done. But corporations are going to need these small teams jumping across and working across business lines to be able to be agile enough to stay relevant in comparison to some of the smallest startups. And the real wild card in the whole thing is the emergence of the 20 to 40 person companies that have the talent and the technology to really be able to challenge the big corporations and potentially outflank them if the big corporations aren't on their toes. Third-party aggregators, they're what makes the sharing economy work. The third-party aggregators enable corporations to have global access to talent, and likewise the aggregators allow talent to have global access to job opportunities and also collaboration. One of the really big emerging third-party aggregators is co-working. Co-working is something that up until now has been gradually building in the kind of fringe areas around CBDs, but co-working is starting to come to the big end of town. Activity-based working. I've been working on activity-based working for a while now, and it's almost getting a bit old hat, but it's in Australia, it's becoming kind of so accepted that it's almost not a story anymore. But interestingly, there's some things that are starting to evolve out of our complacency that are quite interesting. Anyway, in terms of activity-based working, we've always kind of seen activity-based working as being able to move around and choose different work settings depending on the type of work activities that you need to do. That's like the fundamental of activity-based working. But we're also seeing through the research that activity-based working also allows people to move around and work based on how they feel, on what their mood is. From one day to the next, you might be doing the exact same task, but you want to sit in two different types of work settings because one day you feel really collaborative and the next day you just want to hide away and you don't want to talk to anyone. And that's one of the real benefits of activity-based working, but it's not something that's often respected enough. And it's really important that when people need to find a private space to get away and focus, that they can find that space. And that's what we're finding is emerging as a problem with activity-based working in Australia and in the more developed markets. The original companies such as Macquarie and Commonwealth Bank and ANZ and NAB who really invested in it and created the really great workplaces that the vision really spoke about. But now it's become all so easy for other companies to swoop in and say, oh, we're all doing ABW, and they don't have to sell it as much anymore. People are just like, oh yeah, I know, Macquarie's doing it, CommBank's doing it, fair enough, we're doing it. But these companies are not buying into the vision as much. And it's become a cost-cutting exercise. They're all about the collaboration. Let's pack as many people in as close as possible, elbow to elbow. We're all going to collaborate great. We're going to talk better than ever before. But nobody's in the mood for collaboration if you can't find that focus space to get your quiet work done. So what came through in our research is that the future of the workplace is much more about offices. And as soon as I say that to people, they're like, aha, I knew this activity-based working wouldn't last. I knew it was a fad. I knew it was crap. But it's not like that really. What we're talking about is that offices in future will be shared. We're not going back to people having the corner office with the couch. It's about really quiet rooms, which the really good workplaces like the Macquaries and Commonwealth Banks and NABs, they have these quiet places. But some of the later fake ABWs don't have these spaces. So there will be an emerging backlash towards activity-based working as a result of that. And companies will simply be forced to rethink the way that they're doing it and why things aren't working out the way that they envisioned. So there also will need to be more quiet zones. That's a really good use of space where you still give people the quiet space, but you can have a lot of people in a quiet zone. So the good examples are like the library spaces that already exist in a lot of workplaces. But CBRE's Workplace 360 in Tokyo has a really fantastic quiet space, which is kind of its own little alcove where there's nobody kind of passing by. And along the side wall, there's all these soundproof phone booths. So no one's allowed to speak in the space, and they just jump up and run into one of those rooms. So we'll see a lot more of that. One thing that came through in our research as well, which is a kind of an evolution of activity-based working, is the concept of giving each team a dedicated team table so that they've always got that space to come back to, and then go out and use all of the various work settings, but always have a kind of a place where the team can get back together. And that's something that is becoming more and more important, is the ability for teams, small teams, 4 to 6 people, people to be able to get together and collaborate at short notice whenever they want to. And having that space set aside for them is a really great way to ensure that that happens. New leasing models. So we really need tenants and landlords to start working much closer together to develop win-win solutions that will improve efficiency, improve flexibility, deliver greater amenity, greater community, and greater well-being. There's an emerging paradigm, which is the co-working spaces. And one in particular that you may or may not have heard of is WeWork. So WeWork is a behemoth of a co-working organisation that has sprung up out of New York. And this is kind of the flagship for co-working from moving to the fringes into the mainstream and for the big corporates to actually take them seriously. Last year, WeWork was valued at $1.5 billion US dollars on a revenue of $150 million. This year, the value of the company is expected to reach $6 billion US dollars on revenues of $400 million. So you can see that this is really starting to come to the big end of town and not just the small little warehouses on the fringe. Something that will probably start to happen, and I'm aware of a few examples already, is that when a tenant is looking to take space in a building, that they might take an extra floor in the building and then get into collaboration with someone like WeWork and get WeWork to run that floor for them and use that as a co-working space, which the company themselves can have their people working in, but also WeWork can be selling it to other people in the building, people outside. And the opportunity there is that obviously the main tenant retains the rights over that floor. So if they do grow in a crazy way and they need to take up that space, they can easily do it. And WeWork can move on to the next available space of a similar type. Hardware and software in buildings. Mostly in the past, buildings has been about delivering hardware, i.e. the building. And now we're seeing a real shift towards the need to deliver hardware and software. And when we talk about software, we're talking about things like 5-star concierge services. I haven't seen that done very well anywhere yet. There's a lot of talk about 5-star concierge services, but it's really mostly the extent of we've got some umbrellas for you if it's raining, we'll do your dry cleaning. But I think 5-star concierge services, I've got much grander visions of what that might look like. Also, hosted meeting services is another kind of software that the landlord can provide, and also work-friendly cafes. The reason why it's attractive to companies, of course, is because they want their highly talented, elite, skilled workforce to be focusing on the highly valuable, productive work that they need to do, rather than the housekeeping things, rather than making dinner reservations. Leave that to someone else and let them to get on with the high-value work that they're paid for. Building workload. Obviously, there's going to be a lot higher densities in buildings moving forward, lots more people in there. Not only lots more people in there, but moving around a lot more as well. So that has some real implications in terms of the actual wear and tear on the building and the kind of services that you need in there, the lifts and the air conditioning and all of that kind of stuff. But most importantly, around the data connectivity, what kind of spine you put in there for the broadband. And we already know that we've got so many devices on ourselves at the moment, but then there's the whole Internet of Things that's coming as well. So, you know, all the desks are going to be talking to the cloud through the internet as well. And people like us are going to want lots and lots of sensors all over the place so that we can get all of this information about how the building's performing and which facilities people are using and which ones they're not. So obviously design is really important as people are weighing up job opportunities in terms of consumer experience. The actual look and feel of the workplace and the kind of freedoms that are delivered there and the opportunities to really perform at your best are really part of the consumer experience that people are looking for as they shop around. Interestingly, with activity-based working, everyone had all these great visions of, oh, it's going to be great to work from home, isn't it fantastic? And it can be at times. If you need someone to come and fix the dishwasher, very handy, it's great. If you've got a family member who's sick, really great in that situation. But I worked for like a year and a half for a division of Xerox Corporation in the US where I was just working from home and going out to clients. The whole thing just like, by the end of it, I was just like stir crazy in the cockpit. I just couldn't wait to get back to a workplace. And I think that is reflected as well in terms of the attraction of co-working spaces. People who are freelancing or working on their own just really want to be with other people and to share their experiences. It's really important, touching back on what I was saying about activity-based working kind of going in the wrong direction, it's important that designers really stand up for themselves against the bean counters who are just looking to obviously save money. And it's a crazy situation that we have where 85% of the costs associated with the workplace are for the talent, and 15% relate to the facilities. And yet we've got people making decisions about the facilities to save a couple of mil here, and without proper comprehension of what they're doing to the 85% of their costs that they're, of their talent, and actually restricting the ability of the talent to perform at their best. Work-life balance has been a term that we've all kind of held dear, but I think we've kind of gone past work-life balance with the technology and the way that we're working now, and I kind of think of it more as work-life integration. And it's something that I've actually embraced. It's not something that's scared me. I know people were worried about it in the past, oh, with the technology, how do you ever switch off? Well, I don't. I choose to work that way. I choose to find a job that I'm excited and passionate about. And there are times when you need your personal time, but essentially we're all kind of, work is part of life now. So what Gen Y is really on board with that, but what's really coming back to us through the research is they're saying, yeah, fine, we're up for that. We're going to find an exciting job and we're going to live the job. But we expect our organisation to provide for our health. We expect that they'll look after us. We expect that the building that we're working in is going to be a really healthy place for us to work. And that's seen the emergence of things like the Well Building Standard, which has been in pilot over the last 5 years and was formally released just last year, which is administered by the International Well Building Institute. William Jefferson Clinton, he's one of the main advocates of the new Well Building Standard. And as he says, they really are trying to get people to totally rethink the way that we design buildings. It will literally change the way we live and work in a very positive way. So here's the gallery of people who are involved. Deepak Chopra is on board. Now, a really important aspect of the Well Building Standard that has shone through has been that it's based on medical research. So you can see that the Chief Wellness Officer of the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Michael Roizen, is on board, and as well Dr. Nicholas LaRusso, who's a medical director for the Mayo Clinic. So there's been over 5 years of research that has actually gone into designing the Well Building Standard. You can see that Rick Fedrisi, who is the President and CEO of the US Green Building Council, he's also on the board. Jason McLennan, the CEO of the International Living Future Institute, some ex-senator, an ex-congressman. So there's quite a depth and variety of people that are involved in it. One thing that is probably of most interest to me, working in the field that I do, is that the whole thing is actually built on an ROI model. So once they've acknowledged that the only way that we'll be able to truly change the world with the world building standards and get companies to really get on board and to embrace it and explore it and to really invest in it in the way that, that we want them to, is that the whole thing needs to be ROI based. And so when I went to visit Bloomberg in New York, it really shone through to me. They're not actually well certified yet, but they're kind of ahead of their time and had something running for a while. And they took us through, and they've got doctor on site, so you can go and see the doctor anytime. You can get your body fat percentage done any time of the day. They've got nutritionists, they provide all the food. The elevators only stop on every second level of the building, so you have to use the stairs to go between. And we were just like blown away. Wow, this is amazing, Bloomberg, you guys, this is fantastic. And they're like, yeah, well, we like you to think that we're good and that, but we're doing it because it makes financial sense. Everything that this company does makes financial sense. And if the numbers didn't add up, we wouldn't have done it. So don't be too excited that we're just nice guys, but we are nice guys as well. As you can see here, the International World Building Institute has formed an alliance with the Green Building Council in the US, so that the Green Building Certification Institute actually does the certification for the World Building Standard at the same time when they're doing LEED. So the whole thing can kind of run hand in hand. These are the 7 pillars of the World Building Standard. So they're the kind of 7 categories that things go into. So there's a fair crossover with LEED and Green Star in terms of the air, water and light. Obviously good air, good water, good light, good for the environment, good for people. But also then we get into things like fitness, what the workplace offers in terms of fitness, what it offers in terms of nourishment, also in terms of comfort, ergonomics, that kind of thing, and mind in terms of providing education, but also some of the more zen things like having biophilia in the workplace, having art, having views of the local area, having a sense of connection with the outside world when you're at work. So within those 7 pillars, there's actually 102 well features that are part of the World Building Standard. These are the different applications that it's being used for. So in the home, in the office, hotels. It's been really big take-up of it in hotels, where there have been whole floors of hotels set up as well floors and charged at a 15 to 20% premium, and then they're just putting in more and more of the floors because the take-up has been so high. Schools, healthcare facilities, retail and restaurants. One of the World Building Standard being administered by the International World Building Institute, the way that it's set up is that 51% of the certification fees get put back into community type projects. So that's where schools are getting money to do it. So the money goes, some of the money goes back there. Some of it's been put into the projects in Los Angeles to try to improve the health of the people there. Some of it was invested in Haiti after they had the earthquake over there. And the other 49% of the certification fees of the International World Building Institute go into expanding the International World Building Institute and having more and more employees around the world to actually administer it and to kind of support people that want to adopt it. The world's first WELL certified office just happened to be CBRE's global headquarters in Los Angeles in 2013. And ta-da! I'm very proud to have been associated with the Macquarie Group's decision, which was announced last October. I had the privilege of going over to New Orleans with Macquarie's head of corporate real estate, Michael Silman. And at that International Well Conference, it was announced that the Macquarie Group is the world's first organisation to adopt the Well Building Standard as a benchmark for all of their future workplace projects. And we're only now just a matter of a month or so away from this incredible workplace, 50 Martin Place, achieving Australia's first ever WELL certified building. So very proud to be involved with that. I'm very thankful to have the opportunity of working with CBRE that did it first, and to be working for Macquarie that has taken this amazing step, making history here in Australia and around the world. So thank you very much for your time. I'm very passionate about what I've been working on, and it's really a privilege to speak to such a great bunch of people, some of the people who are the leaders in the industry and who I just look up to so much. So thank you.